Welcome back to the Clickdown. I'm your host, Steve Beals, and today we're going to discuss cost savings and, more to the point, how Citrix and the products and services we provide can help you achieve these cost savings. I'm being joined today by Nitin Mehta. Nitin, welcome to the Clickdown.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
So, before we jump into the discussion and the questions I have, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do here at Citrix?
Absolutely, Steve. I've been working with Citrix for more than 10 years now. I joined through an acquisition. I work in the product management. I've been working on product management since last 5 years or so, especially on the broker side. I've been managing Autoscale. I've also managed localhost cache, auto configuration tool, and various other brokering capabilities that we have.
All the fun stuff we have.
Yeah, that's what I would think so. Yeah.
So I'm going to jump right in and with my first question, and thinking about our Citrix customers today who may be running a hybrid cloud deployment, right? Maybe have some on-prem, have some public cloud. How can we at Citrix help them control their spending?
Mhm. Um, sure. So I think given my background mostly in the auto scaling capability, I would like to start with auto scale primarily. But there are a bunch of features that we have. So I do not want to kind of limit just to auto scaling, but there are a bunch of things even in the
Mm-hmm.
provisioning side, MCS and PVS, that we have that can help in the cloud spend. But let me just specifically focus on Autoscale and just answer a couple of things that we have there that could help in the hybrid cloud deployment. So if customers have a mix of on-premises and cloud kind of a infrastructure, one feature that they can use is auto scaling in general, which kind of power manages the machines. It kind of stops them when they're not needed, and it kind of powers them when they're needed. So one of the features that we have in Autoscale is called auto. It's called tags with Autoscale, and what it means
Mm-hmm.
is, let's say if you have a delivery group which is comprising of a mix of on-premises and cloud workloads, you can say Autoscale only power manage my cloud workloads and always prefer my on-premises capacity first. So when an end user session request comes in, it will first kind of prefer all the on-premises capacity that you have, and only once it's exhausted will Autoscale start to power manage and power on these cloud machines. And so this works really great in terms of, let's say, cloud bursting or say for disaster recovery scenario as well. So that is one way where you can, if you have a hybrid deployment, this could work really well for you.
Okay,
Uh,
that's great. And I know recently, I mean, we're talking, a couple months. We did introduce autoscale for on premises, right? So I think that's also a big feature for us now as well, because it used to just be for DAS only customers, right?
Correct. That's a great point, Steve. And yeah, we did introduce Autoscale now in its full glory, I would say, for CVAD on premises. So customers can leverage this from 2303 version onwards. And yeah, I mean, so especially even in the CVAD on premises, we have seen a lot of customers using a mix or a hybrid kind of a workload where they have some of it in Azure or some of it in AWS and some of it is, let's say, VMware or Citrix hypervisor. Um, so
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. I mean, another feature that I wanted to kind of also talk about within this paradigm is load balancing. Customers can also
Mm-hmm.
use something called horizontal load balancing or vertical load balancing, depending on what kind of infrastructure they have. So specifically for the cloud workloads, I would recommend them to start considering vertical load balancing. And as the name suggests, what it means is the broker or Citrix will kind of pack as many sessions in a machine first before it starts to power on the second machine. So instead of having a session sprawl across multiple machines, you'll have tightly packed machines. And you can control the end user experience as well, because I know customers get kind of a little spooked with the end user experience. So you can control how many sessions at a time go into a single machine, how many concurrent incoming requests go on a single machine, so that you're not hurting a lot of end user experience as well. So you can control those things. And the good news is that we have now vertical load balancing available at delivery group level as well. So you can configure horizontal load balancing for, let's say, the entire site, and maybe for a couple of delivery groups which are based on, let's say, Azure, AWS, and so on. You can have vertical load balancing. So this can also help in hybrid workloads if you have that.
Awesome, awesome. That's good to know. If I am leveraging a cloud provider today, Azure, GCP, whatever it may be, is my session density still going to be an important factor here as well?
Yeah. Session density is always important. And the reason why session density is important is uh, especially when you go into off peak times, not during peak times, which is, let's say, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for a corporate organization.
Mm-hmm.
You go into off peak times. If you have really, like, basically big machines which have, like, let's say, which can take 50 sessions or so on, you can have a lot of machines, very expensive machines, which will have, let's say, a few sessions on them. And so this could lead to a very high cost. So what I would recommend customers to think about is, like, not to have or not to pack too many sessions on a single machine, and maybe not to take too beefy a machine, which can have, let's say, 50 sessions. Maybe think about a right number that we see in a lot of customers doing it right is around 15 to 30 sessions per machine. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. So kind of a left field question. What would you say is the most adopted Citrix feature to achieve cost savings?
I mean, I'm definitely biased because I mean, coming from the Autoscale, but definitely want to kind of give assurance to customers as well. Like, more than 50% of our customer base in the DaaS world, for which I have the data, use Autoscale, which kind
Okay.
of helps them save costs. I've seen customers achieving upward of 70% cost savings. I've also seen customers, majority of the customers which are deployed on, let's say, hyperscalers like Azure, AWS, 70% or more of 70% and more customers kind of use Autoscale. So I know there are things like reserved instances, but what I've seen customers doing is having a mix of reserved as well as pay as you go instances, and customers using
Mm-hmm.
Autoscale for pay as you go instances, and just, buying the bare minimum through reserved instances. So a very highly used feature, very adopted feature, and and we are actually, like, doubling down on auto scaling a lot given the macroeconomic situation. Even within Citrix also, we are, like, really focusing on, our cloud spend, and our so I can see that coming from every customer as well, and so we are doubling down on this. We are trying to create more and more functionalities to help save costs for customers, give more monitoring, more analytics around that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of new, I know obviously I'm in and out of my tenant every day doing content, things of that nature, and I've seen an Autoscale Insights tab on my delivery groups. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about that feature and what the benefits are going to be to our customers?
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for, starting that conversation, Steve. So Autoscale Insights is a data-driven approach to kind of configure Autoscale. Now, if you are configuring Autoscale, it can be a little bit of a trial and error initially, right? You don't know whether you are hurting your end user experience, or are you leaving
Mm-hmm.
money on the table because you're powering on too many machines. So Autoscale Insights is just a simple data-driven mechanism to help you understand, how well have you configured your Autoscale settings. If you're powering on too many machines than your actual historical usage, then you are probably leaving money on the table, because, let's say, only 5 machines were needed and you powered on, let's say, 8 machines. So you are powering 3 more machines. So for every 30 minutes, you
Mm-hmm.
can get that granular view of, are you powering on too many machines. On the flip side, you can also understand whether you are hurting your end user experience. For example, this was a Monday 10 a.m. and you needed 20 machines because, on based on your historical usage, you saw that those many users coming in, but you configured only, let's say, 10 machines to power on at that time. So that means the end users who are waiting for those extra 10 machines to power on will have a bad end user experience because they're waiting for the machines to power on. So you'll get three inferences ideally. Are you wasting dollars because you're powering on too much? Second is, are you hurting your end user experience because you're powering on too little? Or third, which is we're saying like, oh, you're doing a good job because your actual historical usage compares to your auto scale settings. So what you are expecting is what your actual historical usage was as well in terms of
Okay. So a follow up question as you're discussing that there. Obviously, I would assume with these insights, if it's showing I need to make adjustments, I have to manually go make them today.
yes.
Is this something that we're saying down the line, maybe that we're going to have this done automatically?
Mhm.
Because like our insights are seeing that this should be done, and maybe it's something that we can turn on to have it automatically, configured so that those cost savings are achieved right away.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot speak in too much about the future, just by the
Mm-hmm.
nature of future facing things. But I can just say like this is just the start. We
Okay.
are very, very focused on cost savings and helping customers save costs. And so you'll see a variety of innovation coming in the coming year, I would just say. So please stay tuned and give us feedback. I mean, just be very candid, give us feedback as to what you want, what are the problems that you're facing, and we'll figure out like what solutions we can work on to kind of help you out. So yeah, as far as
Awesome.
automating this is concerned, yes, I mean, we are definitely ideating on this. This is a first step to kind of give us confidence. Yeah, whatever insights we are giving are making sense or not. And then probably we can probably build on this to kind of maybe even automate this
Okay.
completely. Yeah.
Great. Perfect. Um, do we have any documented results of our cost savings for the features like Citrix Autoscale that customers can go and look at?
Yeah, I mean, so there are a couple of really good resources. I would just recommend TechZone and exploring Autoscale in TechZone. So there are, a couple of places in TechZone where one is basically a white paper in terms of how much savings can you achieve. Second is about design considerations depending on your use cases. Let's say you're coming from a financial world, coming from a healthcare, coming from a BPO. So depending on where you're coming from and what your use cases are, there are design considerations that are available in TechZone. So I would recommend to check out TechZone as well. Our documentation is also very, very thorough. So please check out Autoscale documentation on docs.citrix.com as well. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So as we're thinking about too, like I know it may be another future question, but there may be things we're doing today as well. Are we planning to utilize director or analytics per performance to basically proactively assist, right? Maybe not automatically, but to proactively assist customers with controlling their cloud spend?
So yeah, I mean, I think I would just say there are two, three different focus areas in terms of director analytics that we are working on. The first level starts with helping customers understand how the autoscale functions. When is it powering on
Mm-hmm.
machines? When is it powering off? That's the first part. So helping them, understand how autoscale is functioning. When is it powering on, powering off machines? So that is the aspect. The second aspect is in terms of visualizing cost savings. So helping them understand like, okay, auto scale kind of powered off machines 65% of the times, and this is the realized cost savings in terms of compute, in terms of storage, in terms of profile storage as well. So helping customers understand. So that is another aspect that we are thinking of working on. um, we are also working on so this is just like the basic monitoring, I would say, to help understand what autoscale is and help realize and understand the cost savings achieved by autoscale, and not just autoscale but every cost savings feature that we have within Citrix. So autoscale is just
Mm-hmm.
one piece of the puzzle. There are things like vem, there are things like packing in more sessions in a resource location. So there are a bunch of things that we're doing in terms of cost savings. So you'll see it all in director. Similarly, in terms of recommendations, like Autoscale Insights is just a sneak peek into it in a way, I would say. So stay tuned into, like how we would give like visibility into, um, some of the things that are coming in terms of recommending the right sizing, in terms of recommending the right settings in Autoscale, the right timeouts to keep, and realizing more cost savings by fine tuning what your settings are. So yeah.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned WEM. Obviously, I know we're a little bit focused on Autoscale here, but I think for me thinking about WEM and how that can achieve some cost savings too. That's like a whole nother conversation that we can have with the WEM team
Absolutely, absolutely,
specifically. But
exactly. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, I think that's why I do want to kind of emphasize that cost savings within Citrix is not just Autoscale. There are a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
things that we have, and just to be being candid, we don't advertise enough all these capabilities that we have, and so this is a great forum for everybody to understand how Autoscale, WEM, and HDX, and a lot of these technologies can come in and help customers save costs and while
Absolutely,
balancing the end user experience.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and you mentioned that some of these other things, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I know one, but are there any other options, let's say for end users that can help them reduce costs? Obviously, when the end users are working, they're not thinking about Autoscale or configuring Autoscale. They're going in, they're doing their work, and they may just leave sessions open, whatever. What are some of the things that we're doing today that can help the company reduce
Yeah, I
costs?
mean, I would say three things. The first thing is I would say hibernation is the first thing. So
Mm-hmm.
we are working on releasing hibernation functionality for end users, where end users can hibernate their machines and not just save cost, but also have the sustainability, play as well. A lot of customers, especially I see it, especially the customers coming in from Europe, are very, very conscious about, their spend in terms of, the environment footprint. And so
Mm-hmm.
this can really help save cost as well as the sustainability. So if you were to hibernate your machines, your entire memory is written in your hard disk, and you do not incur any additional cost compared to a stop deallocated machine. So we highly recommend end users to kind of use this hibernation functionality that is coming in. That's number one. Number two is basically, whenever an end user is kind of um, is let's say going for a lunch break or going for, let's say, or is done for the day, we also kind of encourage them to now log off their session. So not just just leave the console, but also just log off their session, because logging off their session would mean we can power manage their machine quickly and we can shut it down faster. So we are encouraging end users to kind of have that as well. There'll be more visibility there. So that's the second thing. The third thing I would say is we are also exposing the stopping functionality, where you can stop the machine, where you can,
Mm-hmm.
not just start or restart, but also stop the machine when you're not using it. So just be a good citizen of the company and like basically, stop the machine. So these are some of the functionalities. There are more functionalities which I can't talk about, but I mean, we are definitely aggressively thinking about other capabilities as well to help customers. And then,
Yeah, and the one I was thinking about was the activity manager, right? I know that we released that and giving those end users the ability to log out. I mean,
yes,
I've used it from my phone. I'm working at my desk and I forget to disconnect or log out, whatever it may be, and 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I should do that, right? And
exactly.
I can just go on my phone and do it.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah, all these great tools that we're using.
exactly. And thank you, Steve. I mean, all these things that I was talking about are actually in Activity Manager. So I was
Mm-hmm.
not sure everybody's familiar with the new term for this, but yes, all these capabilities are in the Activity Manager. And so, yeah. Um, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have right now, Nan. But I'll tell you that I'm probably gonna end up having you back on because I think with Autoscale, I'm always seeing. Obviously, we're having new features coming to that product, right? So I think that it's gonna be great to keep people updated with this. But I do appreciate you joining me today. And honestly, before we sign off, of this episode, few little shameless plugs here. First, we do have some good, Nitin mentioned this. We have some good, um, documents out on Citrix Tech Zone around optimizing costs for Citrix DAS on, Citrix Autoscale specifically, and they're a really good read, and I think definitely recommended to go check it out. Second, we did just recently have a Citrix masterclass where Citrix Autoscale specifically, towards on-premises was, looked into a little bit more deeply. So if you haven't seen that, it is available on demand. And you also mentioned hibernation, right? We have recently released some videos and some guides. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can head to Tech Zone for that. And with that, that wraps things up for today's episode. And until next time, this has been the Click Down.